Economic stabilization high on government's agenda, according to Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah. Central East Command records 2,972 land cases in 8 months, according to the Ghana Police Service. Ghana's return to IMF is necessary. That's according to Dr. Gideon Boako. He's the economic advisor and spokesperson to the Vice President. Okay, decision to block SIM cards unlawful and unacceptable. That's according to the NDC. They have released a statement. They're asking that Parliament does something about this situation because the minister and the NCA do not have that power to actually go ahead and block SIMs if there's no law that backs it. Daily Graphic, Ghana's leadership in rule of law exemplary. UK Attorney General, you'll find that on page 16. NHIS must cover prostate cancer treatment, according to a urologist. Make Ghana card acquisition process faster. Electoral Commission to the NIA. Remember that Professor Ken Atefo has said that this is a continuous process and they cannot have timelines as to when they can issue all Ghana cards to citizens. And so, in fact, they may not even be able to meet the September 30 deadline for SIM re-registration in the country. Interesting times. Daily Guide says Chinese woman steals and quotes shares of Big Stone mining firm, and that's Wan Shanhong with Louis Nyan. Okay, they're pictured there. I guess you'd want to read to really understand the story. See that on page 6. Togbe Afede rejects Kennedy Japan's gifts. Galamsey Queen holds sex videos of big men, and that's a photo of Aisha Wan, who dominated the headlines the whole of last week for illegal entry into the country after she had been deported. Now, businessman vows to beat Mahama, and also AG plans to scrap jury trials. Let's go on to the Business and Financial Times, and it says that blame the Constitution for economic woes, and Minerals Income Investment Fund quarterly market outlook for August 2022. Bawumia First Lady, ex-presidents mourn with Dr. Ejipong, and that was over the weekend. Condolences to his family. Now, IMF's $3 billion will restore investor confidence, according to Dr. Ishmael Yamson, but warns that country must live within its means post-bailouts. Liquidity becoming more challenging on secondary markets. Trading volumes decreased by around 50% in August from July 2022. Goxpa drags Talo to court over local content violation. And finally, to the Ghanaian Times, lecturer, 3 students die in road crash. Several others sustain injuries in Apiride. That's on page 3. Very sad situation there. 2022 Small-Scale Mining Awards launched in Accra. Veep, former President Kufuor, former President Mahama, Speaker. Others mourn Opinion Ejapong. UK's Attorney General louds Ghana's efforts at introducing plea bargain into justice system. And finally, Talo Ghana before court over alleged local content violation. We're still waiting for a rep from the NPP, and so if you're watching, please alert them that their rep is not in the studios yet. Let's, of course, get into the conversation about SIM card blockage in the country. And of course, last week, the NCA released a statement indicating that they were going to have some intermittent blockage of SIM cards in the country if you have not fully registered your SIM card. And for those who had only gone through phase 1 of the registration process, they had up until the end of this month to fully register or have their SIM cards also blocked as well. So if you're one of those people who's experienced, difficulties in accessing, or making calls, accessing your data, that means that you may not have fully registered your SIM. But there are those who have also fully registered that are complaining that they are also facing such challenges as well. The minority, and of course the NDC has issued a statement, and in fact they are describing this act by the NCA and by the minister as arbitrary, as reckless, and against the same laws that they are basing the SIM re-registration on, which is LI 2111 and of course previously LI 2006. But they are not the only one. There's a group that has also sued the NCA over sanctions against unregistered SIM card users. We know that Kwame A+ has also filed a lawsuit against the NCA on this same matter. And there are many who are complaining about the fact that this decision does not favor Ghanaians in totality. Let's take a look at a story that was put together by Noble Crosby Annan. Later we'll hear from Derek Lai, who explains why it is not the right time to start blocking SIMs at this point. Take a look.
The suit was filed on the same day that several agent points of some of the telecommunication networks were besieged by angry subscribers. The Ministry of Communications and Digitalization was limiting selected services to unregistered SIM cards following its earlier threats to do so. But the public is asking why the regulator of the communications sector, the National Communications Authority, aware of the staggering numbers of unregistered SIM cards, went ahead to direct the service providers to block certain services in spite of the challenges with the SIM registration application and the issuance of the Ghana card, which is needed for re-registration. The Minister for Communications and Digitalization first announced the restriction directive on July 31 and has since reiterated the order in a social media post. Now, while many of the unregistered phone users blame their predicament entirely on their inability to access their Ghana card, the sole document needed for the re-registration, others who have secured their cards have either been unable to use the self-service app to register or complete the registration process beyond the first stage. Another challenge is some people's ignorance of the process to verify if their SIM cards are properly registered. So many subscribers say they were not aware that they had to use the short code *400# to verify their re-registration status. TV3 gathers that the NCA, which is yet to react to the public outcry or the suit, has been in crunch meetings and is expected to address the situation on Monday, September 12. The National Identification Authority, cited by most subscribers who failed to re-register their SIM cards, has been defending its work, promising to issue Ghana cards to all who deserve one. But the suit filed on September 8 by the People's Project seeks to back the directive by the ministry only if citizens have their Ghana cards. Meanwhile, the telcos insist that by limiting certain mobile phone services, they are only following the ministry's directive.
Our work is they're developing scripts to be able to take down numbers, or basically to be able to bar calls of people. And I said to you that it can be done. It's only a question of willingness. Is there a willpower so that we can be able to segregate properly and deal with people as they are human beings? The policy is supposed to support them. So why do we put in inhibitors, actions that hurt them? So whether you are being robbed at night or you have a health complication, you cannot call the ambulance, you cannot call the police, and all of this for what? If we intend to register people, and people are, we need to be able to tell those who have not genuinely made any effort to get themselves registered and deal with them in a certain special manner. And those who are making the effort, those who have left a sinful soup, traveled all the way to Elwak, these are teachers, nurses, doctors, all sorts of people who have traveled to come and sit under the sun for hours and been told that there are no cards for us to print the thing for you. Go and come another day. Or we cannot find it. Or your biometric is that. Or this is that. These people have made an effort. Why can't they be segregated and they be dealt with and they be respected? We need to start having a serious conversation as a country, because I do not think that the policy of a minister alone underwrites the fundamental human rights of citizens. Schools are reopening next week. There are men and women who live by the day, who struggle, run around on the sun for the 8 hours that they have throughout the day to be able to take a little amount of pittance home. How do they leave that target and go sit under a shelf and sit with 200 people so that they can be able to get their SIMs registered? Why can't we make room for everybody in the right manner that matters? Why are we punishing people when the responsibilities on our part, or what we have set out to do to create convenience, is all not even ready yet? I think it's unfortunate. I think we really need to take the Ghanaians a bit more seriously. I think we need to respect the Ghanaians.
Good morning, Honorable Sam George. But yes, in the studios, we still have lawyer Eduzi Tamak. Lawyer, now quick one. When you listen to the telco's chamber, they're saying that in actual fact, the NCA has that power to impose sanctions on mobile phone subscribers who have not yet re-registered their SIM cards. And so, yes, they may be losing money at this point. It is unfavorable to the telcos, but they also don't have a choice than to impose those sanctions that the NCA has asked them to impose. And so really, they do have that power. But when you listen or when you read the statements that, the NDC has put out, they're saying that it was arbitrary, it's reckless to impose these sanctions. I mean, why do you say that in the face of NCA having that power to actually impose these sanctions?
Okay, so So once again, good morning to your cherished viewers, and happy birthday to the Honorable Suhini Al-Hassan.
Oh, it's his birthday
MP.
today.
Yeah, today
Happy
happens
birthday.
to be his birthday. Now, on the vast issue that the NDC issued a press statement on Saturday about, first of all, let's recognize that the level of arbitrariness by the Minister for Communication, the arrogance with which she had gone up with this SIM card re-registration. Remember that it is what? SIM card re-registration. What it means is that some kind of registration has already been done. Only for policymakers to come out to say that, well, the registration that was done was not properly done. Now, you see, everything that we do, like you've asked, is backed by law. Now, in this country, around 2011, Parliament got this law passed, the Subscriber Identity Model Registration Regulations 2011, LI 2006. Now, I just want to read what Regulation 1 says. Then we can take it up from there. Regulation 1. A network operator or service provider shall not activate a SIM subscriber identity model, that's a SIM card, for a subscriber unless the subscriber A complete the registration of the subscriber identity model in accordance with this regulation, B complies with the directives given by the authority under the Act and the National Communication Authority Act, right? It says before you can activate, you must register, and not after activation. So the law itself is very clear. And so if you note, what the ministry is putting on Ghanaians to go through is SIM card re-registration and not registration. Because by law, the telcos are not even supposed to activate your account, your SIM, unless the registration is done. And in most instances, that was done before they will even activate a new SIM for you. Only for government to come out to say that, look, even though you are already registered, now come and link it to Ghana Card. That's an entirely different thing altogether. Because by law, you could have used any form of identification. Any form of identification. So some people use their passport, some voters card, and other things for the purposes of the initial registration. Only for government to now come out with this one. But you see, you asked a question that what are the sanctioning mechanism by the National Communication Authority? Now, if you read Regulation 1, Sub-Regulation 2, this is what it says. A network operator or service provider who contravenes Sub-Regulation 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine, blah, 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 blah. So blocking a SIM is not part of the sanctioning mechanism provided by law.
Okay.
Because the law is clear that if the telcos activate without the benefit of registration, then they commit an offense. You cannot use an administrative fiat like Eslewusu is doing as the sanctioning mechanism provided under LI 2006. She is the one imposing that. She is the one introducing that law. And that is why the NDC is asking her, by what authority is she proceeding with her instruction, either through National Communication Authority, to block people from, making calls or receiving calls? Because the law is clear, unless, of course, she has another law that she is operating. But if you note, the Subscriber Identity Model Registration Regulation has not been repealed. It's still good law. LI 2006. So we are asking her, by what authority is she proceeding with her actions, which is albeit administrative? Because if the telcos fail to do ABCD, your power is to say, look, you have committed an offense. And in this country, the only person that can, say you are guilty of having committed an offense are the courts. Okay. As I'm aware, There's no judicial proceedings against any of the telcos, whereupon any of the telcos have been convicted for contravening LI 2006. So in the absence of a conviction, even the issue of sanctioning mechanism does not even come in. So by what authority is our, Magagia, you know how the
Honorable Minister of Communications,
the Honorable Minister who says that she has extended the same re-registration, she uses this word, he said reluctantly.
Yeah.
Look, it appears that our minister doesn't know that she's a public officer. She had this mindset that she's operating a monarchy.
How do you say that? I mean, she's been put in charge of the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization.
Sure.
So she is the one supposed to ensure that
do you know that she is your employee?
Yes, we all know that. I'm sure a lot of Ghanaians know.
So when your employee now begins to tell you that she is doing you a favor by working for you, you should know the kind of employee that you are. Listen, we are dealing with public office, where ministerial responsibilities are governed by rules and regulations. We are not in a banana republic. Look, first of all, this is a minister who is saying that you have to re-register with only one document.
And there's a law to back it. There's an LI to back it.
I'll come to that law. Which document is the Ghana card, right? Okay. As you are aware, her ministry is not the ministry in charge of the production of Ghana card. So, for instance, if her ministry is in charge of the production of Ghana card, then she can with certainty say that my ministry had given you the primary document that you need in order to register or have your SIM re-registered. Her ministry is not in charge of that work. That work is done by another agency of state. Do you know that the National Identification Authority presented a budget proposal of 300 million Ghana cedis to roll out its activities this year? The finance minister only gave them 180 million. So even from budgetary constraint, they have a problem. Remember that the cards they issue to you and I, it's not manufactured by them. They have to go, buy, and roll out. You know that. And so if they provide a budget of, say, 300 million, and they only get 180 million, already it is going to affect their operations. Ken Oforiatta, who is the finance minister, that is the money they have available for them. Remember that the National Identification Authority went to Parliament and provided 9 problems affecting them. Look, do you know that because they take live fingerprint impressions, they need data connectivity? I mean, they need to have data available.
Okay.
Now, most of the communities that they are operating in do not have even internet connectivity. Look, if you go to Western North, the cocoa growing areas, the evidence shows that they do not even have connectivity issues. So the NIA operationally is challenged through no fault of those citizens. So when your minister comes to say that she is reluctantly agreeing for an extension when the citizens who do not have any control over the generation of Ghana card, and that they are the branch of these agencies, then it appears she does not even know and appreciate the kind of work she's supposed to do.
But she did admit, before saying that she reluctantly extended the deadline, she did admit that one of the biggest challenges that they face in meeting this deadline was the fact that Ghana cards were not being issued on time. So she is aware of the challenge.
No, so that is the more reason why she needs to be sober. Look, our communication minister, I think she has this feeling that she's like a favor done to Ghanaians. Madam, you are not. You are not. Even those who, under their tenure, we saw a more liberalized telecommunication, do not see themselves as a gift to this country. So, Madam Esla, with the greatest respect to you, you need to come off the high horse. Come down to our level. Look, let her go to Western North, Sefi, Debeso, Akontombra, those, areas, and find out the connectivity challenge. I have seen her trying to even get some of the communities telecommunication masts in order to improve their connectivity. You are aware of these technical challenges. And you are speaking to Ghanaians in the manner as though, look, we have the Ghana card, we have decided to sit at home and care less about the same re-registration.
But to be fair, lawyer, I mean, I remember that Honorable Sam George at the time was even saying that, no, we're not going to get the Ghana card. And so there were concerns that he might have played a role in some Ghanaians not even going ahead to register for the Ghana card.
Who? Sam George?
Yes, Honorable Sam George.
Please.
And so maybe that is why some people are still yet to get their Ghana cards. I won't generalize it for everyone.
No. I've already given you clear evidence that the National Identification Authority itself went to Parliament, presented 9 challenges that they are faced with. Connectivity challenge, budgetary constraint, staff's deployment, among other things. And you know what? Even the raw material they use, the card, they are purchasing it outside. And when they come, the depreciation of the city and everything is affecting all of these deployment. So it is not the issue about Sam George. There are verifiable problems presented by the NIA itself.
But there's also that issue where certain Ghanaians may have refused to go for the Ghana card based on arguments that have been made.
There is no
evidence.
There's no evidence.
Okay.
We are talking about what is verifiable, where the NIA itself presents 9 challenges that it has encountered that have presented a budget proposal of 300 million. The finance minister, because of the issues we are having with the economy, they gave us only 180 million. There are connectivity issues in the various communities, even in Greater Accra. There are places that when you go, you may not have internet access. All of these things are affecting the deployment or the rollout of the Ghana card.
Okay.
So when you do not have control over the primary document, you do not, one, place limitation in terms of timeline. Remember that the law establishing the National Identification Authority and the rollout of the Ghana card does not provide limits. It's supposed to be continuous rollout.
Yeah.
There are no limits. So you cannot connect something that has no limit to a limited, exercise.
Okay.
Then it creates a problem. Because you see, if you look at the law that establishes for the rollout of the Ghana card, all it says is that make sure you get it. And when you get it, these are the activities you can use for. Do you get it? NCA does not control the rollout of Ghana card. Much the same National Communications Authority. So these 2 ministries or agencies, the NIA is not even under them. The NIA operates from the office of the president. So you cannot just sit in and provide timeline. And what has brought all this issue is simple. Money making.
How do you say?
Good.
How do you
You
say
see,
money making?
when the telcos, you do a transaction like Momo transaction, they are supposed to do verification. When you do the verification, they charge you 0.5 Ghana cedis. That's like 50 pesos or something.
5 pesos, yeah.
5 pesos or so, good. Now, these 5 pesos, imagine the banks, the number of times you do this kind of, exercise and the money they make. NCA, through the communication ministry, wants to control this cash cow. Much the same, the National Identification Authority.
You're saying this for a fact?
Yes, that's the bottom line. It's fighting for theft. It's fighting for theft.
But in this
and
case, then,
you know the challenge also. If you have done your SIM re-registration, you note that the people come, play their phone, pick your biometric, fingerprints, take a photograph, and proceed with the process. So already, the picking of your fingerprint is not live. The process, there can be data losses.
Yeah.
The NIA, what they do is that they take your fingerprint impression right there, live fingerprint impression. Already we have data. Do you know that as we speak, when you went to do your Ghana card, you provided your phone numbers, correct?
Yeah.
So can't you connect?
But that's what the minister was saying, that there could have been people who even gave wrong phone numbers, which is why there's a need to connect the phone number that you're using at the moment to your Ghana card after you have secured the Ghana card.
Let's speak from the known to the unknown. Where is the evidence that someone registered for Ghana card using the telephone number of another person. Where is the evidence? Public officers cannot be speaking right from anywhere.
But you cannot also say for a fact that everyone who gave a phone number during the registration.
Let's speak with the evidence.
But that's what I'm saying, that you cannot say for a fact that every single person who registered for the Ghana card gave the right phone numbers.
Do you know that by law, if you provide wrong information for the purposes of obtaining your Ghana card, it's even an offense? Where's the evidence? Where is the evidence? So
you don't think that it's even possible at all that anyone could have given a wrong phone number while trying to get their Ghana card?
Obviously, now that we know that even Aisha Wan can obtain Ghana card, you understand.
Is that not more reason why there's a need to even sync your Ghana card to your number?
Is that not the more reason why it is clear that even Ghana card can no longer be the sole document for all these processes? What it means that there's an integrity issue with Ghana card. If Aisha Wan can get it in August or February this year, then it undermines the whole process. It undermines the whole process. How many more of Aisha Wans are on our Ghana card, National Identification Authority platform?
But
how many more of them?
Should the concern rather be, and let me just quickly welcome our second guest in the studio, Kamal Dean Abdullah is here. He's the Deputy Director of Communications for the NPP this morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Bella, I'm good. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. You had a good weekend?
Very good weekend.
Yeah.
My appearance...
You were in Tolong.
My appearance saw a bit of a mischief when we were told that Aisha Wan can even acquire a Ghana card.
We were going to bring it up anyway.
My appearance alone got him to say that anyway.
We were going to bring it up, but I'll bring you into the conversation shortly. Let me just ask lawyer my final question, because at what point, or would it have been better if maybe they had been able to segregate those who have the Ghana card and have not registered or re-registered their SIMs and maybe block theirs as against blocking anybody and everybody? Because there are people who are even saying that they've registered and they still are getting blocked.
Exactly the point. And the only reason for this is the level of arrogance. There's no deep thinking. Look, if there is a lot, like you pointed out, look at how you have beautifully segregated how the problem ought to be resolved. If I've already tried the registration process, and like I told you, the harvesting of my fingerprint, the extraction processes, all of those things, you have to take it back to an office and now process. Even in the process of even processing this one, there may be data losses, mismatch of fingerprint impressions, and all of those things can happen within the process. There's huge data being processed, and so it requires sober. You don't need a minister who is briefing over the necks of the telco. And let me make this point: under Madam Esla Owusu, the telecom industry is collapsing under her watch.
Also.
Look, as we speak, our own Airtel Tigo is a pale shadow of itself. Vodafone is basically running out. The only telecommunication company we have standing now is MTN.
And how is that?
When you come and the major industry players, the investors in the industry are running away, is that a good thing? Look,
and so that would be her fault?
Why not? And do you know what? Do you know something? Look at MTN. They are significant, they are now the major share, in terms of market share. When you are dealing with such an entity, you need to be cautious. Because one, MTN provides you significant revenue at the end of the year. I am aware. Last year alone, they gave almost 1.5 billion Ghana cedis in terms of taxes to government.
Okay.
What it means is that if you decide to deactivate, the one that will be greatly affected will be them. So by your singular action, you are going to even affect their total revenue and how much revenue eventually they will give to Ghana. Government. Why would you want to do that?
Should revenue supersede doing the right thing?
It's not about doing the right thing. It's about, doing what we call a balancing act.
Okay.
Your attempt at getting the right thing done and also ensuring that industry players are also protected all over the world, even judges. There's a time that they evaluate the two competing rights and strike a balance.
Okay.
That is what you do.
Okay.
And that you can only do if you are sober. This
Okay.
minister needs to be sober.
Kamal, why is the NCA and the Communications Ministry still going ahead to bar certain services from SIM cards that have not been registered? And in some cases, even some that have been fully registered are complaining that they are also facing some blockages here and there. Why are we going ahead with this when many have described this act as reckless, as arbitrary, and really not important at this moment?
Well, very interesting. I think, how many times have we had, as a people, to extend the date for the registration of the SIM cards? How many times have we had?
About 3 times.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay? And let's make the objective argument and then, of course, stay away from the legal argument that people are pushing. That when people are quoting Article 2, Article 23, Article 296, others are also quoting the allies that establishes same. I mean, those who want to make the legal argument, the lawyers are here, they'll go to court and then phrase it, as it were. But let's make the objective argument. And I ask myself, what is actually the reason why, or the main reason why one ought to register your SIM? And of course, synchronize SIM with an identity card that we've all come to accept that indeed establishes your citizenship status or non-citizenship status in this country. Why do we have to register our SIM? Is the significance of it that we need to look at?
Okay.
Okay, I am not saying that those who have been blocked do not have certain rights. They do have the rights. You see, I intentionally asked the question as to how many times have we had as a people to even, if you like, extend the dates. And you said 3 times. Let's make the argument again. 3 good times. That notice is served that if you have your ID card, go out there, register your SIM with it so that they'll synchronize SIM with whatever you have. First, the argument is that no, not all of us have had the cards. NIA comes to give us figures of people who have cards. We are able to tell from the NCA how many people are using SIMs. Let us also bear in mind that we have duplications. Somebody could even have 3 SIMs or 4 SIMs.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I use 2. The possibility of me registering one and not registering one yet is high. So it is not entirely true that the huge numbers of people who are supposed to have registered, who haven't registered, are those that have blocked. Because we don't even have the figures so much. And if we have the figures even, we are not able to tell that, look, XYZ from the time we started saying they should register are the people who have registered. XYZ from the time we have actually blocked SIMs are the people who haven't registered. We don't have those numbers now, unless you want to help us. Okay? So I'm saying that on the face of it, you would come to agree with me that some number of people who have not registered are either having 2 SIMs and registered one and left one, or did not even have access, if you like, to register at all. And those numbers, with a greater respect, if you look at it on the face of it, would not be much more compared to those who have registered. So I see some amount of recalcitrancy that people have put up.
How?
And that's what I'm saying, that look, some people, we sit here, why? The last time I sat here, when they were about to, before they extended the date, we sat in this studio and spoke about the attitude of Ghanaians, okay, on how we always want to get things done at the tail end when issues are raised.
Yeah.
We are not, that sense of urgency is not there. And yet we want to say that, look, we have not been properly, fairly treated. We have not been what? Is it about what you think? We need a society that is devoid of at least criminality. And we all know the criminality that comes with the usage of some of these SIMs. Then a system is put in place by all of us by law, accepted. NIA transcends MPP, NDC matter. It started with maybe MPP under Kufuor. NDC came into it. Also, they didn't scrap it. They thought it was imperative. Even added on to whatever President Kufuor did. President Nana Akufo-Addo also came, has done same. It means that all of us, both parties, our policy is that let's ensure that we have a common identity as Ghanaians. And as a result, we'll be able to get data. And with data will help us develop this country. That is what we agree. Now, having agreed on that and traveled to this time, then they say, look, once you have acquired your card and you are using this, try and register same with this.
When you have given your number while registering for the card already?
I'm saying that, no, you see, the point is, well, that is another matter you are raising. But I'm saying that we've all agreed that all those NIA cards that has been given, and if you're a user of mobile telephone, try as much as possible to register same. For them to synchronize your ID card or whatever, or to have a common identity as a people.
Okay.
We have that. They have done that. And they have continuously followed it. Even to the extent that committee in Parliament, where Sam George and co sat on. Initially, Sam George was quite a bit tough on the minister. But even before this exercise or punitive measure is taken, Sam George, I saw him coming out, appealing to people to go and register. Somebody who was strongly, maybe, should I say, vociferous against certain actions of the minister and the entity, NCA.
Yeah.
But he came out to say, look, my appeal to you, before even the date comes, let's come out. That's why I'm saying, let's make that objective argument. Forget about the law has said it, the law has said it. My brother Eduji, before he ended his submission, said that even at the point, judges will weigh what the law says and weigh what public opinion is, and also weigh certain reasons before even they arrive at the conclusion, as it were. When the law is there anyway, I'm not to say that they wouldn't use it, but to a very large extent, that those are very on rare circumstances. So sometimes the judge would have to look at inferences, look at the situation we find ourselves, whether to use the law or not to use the law. Even that it exists. So what I want to say is that it is that laissez-faire attitude of Ghanaians, some Ghanaians, I should say, because let's be fair to those of us who have also registered, that laissez-faire attitude of some of us, that I don't care, that last-minute way of doing things, then if I don't do it, it is me, I have been punished. I think when we do that, we are not being fair to ourselves. But who here in this country will travel to South Africa, attempt to buy a SIM to use, and will not be registered instantaneously? That you say, I want to use it the way I want to use it until the day I want to go and read. You would have to tender your passport and your valid documents before you can even acquire a SIM.
But we have registered these SIMs already.
Yes.
We have done it already. And now you cannot even buy a SIM, even before this whole re-registration thing came. You cannot buy a SIM without them taking your details.
I agree.
So that was already in place.
What is now the bone of contention? The contention is that we have a common platform now. Which common platform, which I said that all of us have agreed to use. And once we've all agreed to use, if you are a taxpayer, find a way of synchronizing with your Senate, whatever. If you are supposed to be a voter, you and Electoral Commission are supposed to synchronize. So there is a deliberate attempt to ensure that we have a credible data in place, i.e. using the NIA.
But the telcos already have the database. Well, come on, hold on.
Yes.
So you asked me to go and register for a Ghana card.
Good.
When I go, I give you all my details, including my phone numbers.
Very well.
Now, these phone numbers, of course, you can verify with the telcos. So if you've given me my Ghana card and you already have that data, why are you not syncing it with the telcos so you can also make sure that these numbers also sync with that, that I've given you? Instead of having me queue for Ghana card, then I go back and go and queue to re-register my SIM. Is that not affecting
do not know for a fact,
labor in this country?
We do not know for a fact that everybody who registered, with the NIA gave the right number that he or she is using now. I made a point that you may see somebody having even three, if you like, SIM cards, and maybe that particular one, yes, it should have been an arrangement within. That, yes, once you have registered with the NIA and you have a number, provided a number, that number should be automatically synchronized to whatever data that they think they are going to use, isn't it? That's the point you are making. But I'm saying that, again, assuming somebody has 2 or 3 SIMs, provided one number at the registration of NIA, at the point of registering for NIA card, you have other 2 or 3 numbers that you claim today that I have not registered it and then I have been blocked, as it were. Yes, I agree with you perfectly that there should have been a system on the platform that says that any number you register your NIA card with is recognized ab initio and you don't need to even come back again to register. I agree with you, there should have been that. But if you don't have, maybe they could have some technical challenges, they could not have a satellite device that, well, I don't know how it works, as it were. But maybe there's a challenge to that. And based on that challenge, they say, okay, every single person must come on board with your telephone number and then synchronize same with your ID card. I'm saying that. So we are all speaking we're conjecturing here. What you are even telling me that at the end of the day, the number that the person provided could be that the person doesn't even have one number. What you are even telling me that the number the person provided, let's again assume that maybe that's not even the number the person uses. He gave them a particular number to say, just take this. Okay? So now to sanitize the system, let's re-register those that you use to ensure that we get it. They could have done that earlier, but they didn't do that. But they have come out to issue notices that let us re-register. Then we sit down and say, no.
But there are people who have been registered who are complaining that they've been blocked as well.
Yes, I saw an apology from the NCA.
Is that enough?
It's not enough for me because it could be a businessman. There was this case in Bolgatanga some time ago when a man was was disconnected on a holiday. His telephone, okay, on a holiday. He woke up in the morning to use those times of landline. Yeah. Fixed lines. He picked his telephone and realized he was in the morning he used it. Somewhere towards afternoon when he picked it, it was disconnected. He took the matter to court. Why he should be disconnected on a holiday, and he won the case. Okay, so I'm saying that yes, unduly you would have blocked somebody, and that person is a businessman whose one phone call away could have given him maybe $100,000 or 100,000 Ghana cedis or something like that. But because of the non-existence of that number, okay, which is not a fault of his, he has to suffer a particular, if you like, jeopardy. So point I want to make is that it's not too proper, but the NCA has come out to apologize. Let's look at it as to whether somebody will go and test the law to say that, look, I have registered and then you have blocked me, and as a result, I've suffered so and so and so and so. So damages are supposed to be paid me. As whether somebody will do this is another matter. But what is material is that, yes, what you have cited has happened. Yes, NCA has come out to also issue an apology. Whether it's enough or it's not enough is for those who are affected to take it or not to take it. Okay.
But we have a digitalization agenda.
Sure.
We talk about how many people have been able to get onto, this whole digital agenda. Then now we're blocking people who may or may not have registered their SIM. Is that not a recipe for digital exclusion?
No,
are we not going back on our own gains?
No, that's what I said. You see, if you listen to me, I carefully said that as we speak, assuming we have 14 million users of the, SIM cards, we are not able to tell what percentage of these 14 million people have actually registered now, unless maybe if you have the information to feed us. Okay?
We don't have the update on that yet.
But speaking on it, on the face of it, you would agree with me that a lot more people have actually registered than the few who have not registered. Now, this measure put in place doesn't mean that it's going to fight digitalization, as you put it. We are not fighting it. They are trying to say that, look, if you do not register, there could be a punitive measure that you will suffer, which is to block you from making your calls or receiving whatever data. As a result, you are not blocked entirely. You can still go back there and then make sure you go through the process to get it registered, and you are back on track to move on, as it were. Okay. So that alone does not mean that this measure is to block digitalization.
But what if I decide not to go back and re-register? That means that you've lost me.
Yes, we've lost that particular SIM and not you. You see, maybe that SIM is not captured, but not you. You see, the point is that you feel it's important to use telephone. Yeah. You feel it's important to use the mobile phone. And the measure, yes, somebody could say it's arbitrary, like I said, the law, but the measure is to engage, to make sure that you who is a user of SIM, go and register. Okay. That's what it is.
Is the comms minister, interacting with the NIA boss? Because I remember that when she came out and said she had reluctantly extended the deadline to September 30, the NIA boss spoke, Professor Kenatefo, and he said that, the whole Ghana card registration is a process. It's a continuum. So they cannot put timelines to it. In actual fact, even though they have been able to issue a certain number of Ghana cards, they still will not be able to meet the deadline for September 30. So that means that there'll be more people who may not even get their Ghana card before then. And by no fault of theirs, they'll be blocked. Why are they not communicating if they haven't? From your question, I still think that all of us here are speculating until we have the exact figures, as it were. But you see, I want to admit that for me, I felt that there were some lapses. The NIA and the Ministry of Communication needed to be much more proactive than they are doing appearing now, to me, in my view. Okay. I'm being honest with you. And then, of course, I am not also for this blockage of the SIM. You're not for it?
I'm not for it.
Okay.
Actually. Honestly, I'm
He's
not for it.
He's a politician. He knows the impact, the anger that comes directly.
I am actually not for it. But I'm also admitting that when we take NIA and take Ministry of Communication and take NCA, I thought, in my view, those entities should have been much more proactive, a lot more than this. Okay. And even before the blockage, what I was expecting was that let NCA come out to give us figures, do a press conference, tell us that, look, we have pursued this to this level. As a result, we have gotten 30 million SIMs out there. Out of the 30 million SIM out there, 15 or 18 million have actually been registered. This and this and this have had this problem. When we do that and there's so much clarity in the communication out there, it is going to do us very good. But where we are quite a bit and we do not even have much more data, then you end up saying, let me take punitive measures. Obviously, it will face some of these.
So the minister was wrong then, and the NCA were wrong as well in going ahead.
Be careful. I have not said.
I'm just asking you.
No, I didn't say they were wrong.
I'm asking you a question.
No.
That in that case, Bella, would you say that they were wrong in going ahead to block?
I wouldn't say they are wrong in doing their job, but I'm saying that I'm opinionating here, and I'm saying my opinion is that yes, clearly, before even certain measures is taken, let us have that clarity in communication out there. In as much as the objective argument places them right, when in fact you have pursued this for long, like I mentioned earlier on, and people are still appearing recalcitrant, people think that we don't care, we won't go and register. Yes, it will warrant you to take some of these actions. But it's to say that, again, we could have actually done much more better than what sometimes we are saying.
All right. Well, the NDC thinks that Parliament should step in. When we get back, lawyer, hold on. When we get back, we'll get into that conversation because they issued a statement and they're saying that Parliament should get involved and prevent the minister and the NCA from actually blocking these SIMs. Why would they say that? When we get back, we'll talk about it. Keep watching. This is The Big Issue. Welcome back. This is still TV3 New Day, The Big Issue, and I'm here with Kamal Dean Abdullah. He is the Deputy Director of Communications for the NPP, and lawyer Edudi Tamaklo is a member of the NDC communications team. We're still talking about that decision by the NCA to ask telcos to block SIM cards that are unregistered at the moment, and the fact that there have been some lawsuits filed against the NCA and the Attorney General. In fact, Pressure Group, the People's Project, sued the NCA and the Attorney General over the ongoing SIM card re-registration exercise. The group is asking the Supreme Court to declare the deadline for registration, which is the 30th of September, and the associated punitive measures for non-registration null and void. It argues that the punitive measures are unconstitutional. The minority has also released a statement, in fact, and they are asking that Parliament steps in and tries to convince the minister. In fact, let me just read a part of their statement. It says that while we commend and encourage legal actions filed by citizens of the country who have been affected by the reckless SIM card restrictions, we call on the Parliament of Ghana, particularly the Parliamentary Select Committee on Communications, to call the Minister of Communications and the NCA to order in line with its oversight responsibility over these state entities. The lawlessness being displayed by the Minister of Communications must be halted now. Lawyer, you believe that Parliament will be able to call her to order?
Well, as you are aware, because of the current architecture we have with our Constitution, where Parliament is supposed to play a certain supervisory accounting, role, Parliament in a way can, call her and the NIA to appear before the Parliamentary Select Committee or even the House itself to answer certain urgent questions relative to the manner in which it's proceeding. And I think that will not be out of place. We need to appreciate, Bella, that now people's lives are completely linked with their SIM. People's livelihood are completely linked with their SIM. And I've always made this example. Look, imagine the day the SIM cards were blocked. Family members in the village, he may be in Tolong, they needed him to give money for them to take someone to the hospital. They called and his SIM is blocked. By the time they get back to him, the person is dead. That person will never forgive you. That person for the rest of his life will believe that you are the cause of the death of that relation. Much the same, the businesses that people do. Look, today, the delivery service system, that value chain, all their lives are based on phone. People call them, send messages to them, deliver this item, do this. Look, a government that had brought, what shall I say, e-levy. The least you can do is want to undermine people's phones.
So because of e-levy...
No, I'm just saying, because already, even your projections, you are falling short of them. And then you are doing everything to make it worse. I am saying that, look, let cool heads prevail. And I want to believe that When Parliament gets the opportunity to invite the sector minister, she will come off the high horse and begin to have a very useful conversation. Look, like I earlier indicated, there are challenges within agencies. You know, they're fighting for theft. It's too much. It's too much. And at the end of the day, like they always say, when two elephants are fighting, someone else is the one suffering. Yeah. And it is we. Are we saying, with all the IT experts that we have in Ghana, they cannot extract the telephone numbers on the numbers, the telephone numbers, when people went registering from their effort, their Ghana card, they can't do that.
But Kamaldeen explained that. Yes. What about those who gave wrong numbers? What about those who have other numbers as well? Are we not going to go back to square one of asking them to come and register those other sins?
I've given you the indication that let's speak to the evidence. First of all, if you provide wrong information to the National Identification Authority, it's an offense. Where is the evidence that, for instance, in registering for my Ghana card, I provided Kamal's number instead of mine? Unless, of course, we can deal with the evidence. And look, the overriding reason for SIM registration or re-registration is the need to fight crime. People use phones to do crime, send blackmailing messages, even defraud people, scam people. And so you want to identify people to their SIM, right? Now, if I use, say, Kamal's distance, and you go, and the Ghana card used is Kamal's Ghana card, you'll be answerable for the offense committed with the, the SIM. In any case, between you and I, how are our data being protected? The questions of privacy relative to Article 18 of the Constitution. How are our privacy being protected? Because the people who come to even harvest your biometric data, they do it at the shops, the telecommunication. What law is limiting their engagement with you? All these things, look, all over the world, if there is anything that people don't joke with, it's their data, personal data. What are we doing about it? Anybody is harvesting our data and we don't know who they are. You see somebody set up a shop, or maybe a vendor for any of the telcos, and the next time he's harvesting people's private data. Look, let's take certain things serious. And that brings me to the point where we need to appreciate that, listen, until we have the National Identification Authority, the point where it can say that, look, we have fully rolled out and printed 90% of the cast and number of persons who have registered. Some of these things that are coming up are very dangerous for our democracy. Look, in front of the daily graphic, look, you just read it. Make Ghana card acquisition process faster. Electoral Commission. Bella, so the EC itself admits that as we speak, the process of the generation of Ghana card is challenged. Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission says that before you can exercise your Article 42 right as a key maker of this republic to elect your MP and to elect your president, you need only Ghana card, a process that you don't control. What are we doing to this democracy? All over the world, Bella, what people do is to make voter registration easier. The reason is that at the core of our democracy is the right of people to decide who their leaders are. You know, in the US, when COVID struck, the US had to innovate and come out with the mail-in, ballots to make it easier for people without joining queues to participate in the democratic process. That is what democracies do. That is what advanced societies do. But you have situations where people are, you and I are politicians. You are from Nanton. With the greatest respect, as you sit here, can you tell me that the people in Nanton, all of them have Ghana card? Persons who have turned 18, all of them have Ghana card. So that if the Electoral Commission today says that Ghana card should be the sole document for identification, they can all.
But until they say that, very good. Until they say that, because as far as I'm concerned, the Electoral Commission is just looking at ways by which they can use a Ghana card to register new registration.
No. As I speak to you, they have already taken an instrument.
Exactly.
To Parliament. Yes.
For new registrants.
For new registrants, not for everyone.
That's why I use the word 18. Good. Right now, I use the word 18. Persons who have turned 18.
Sure.
And there are some persons who are even more than 18 who have not even registered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those category of people, I recall in 2016, limited registration exercise alone, 1.5 million people got registered,
Registered, yeah.
The last election, the outcome was decided by 500,000, correct? So if you have a situation where potentially you can bring on board 1.5 million, 2 million people.
And not 20-something thousand, 500,000. That's quite a gap.
So if you have a process where you're going to have over 1.5 million, 2 million people coming onto your voters register, and you want to limit the identity document to only Ghana card, a card that you yourself know that you do not control its acquisition and others, then you are only solely trying to undermine our constitutional process.
Okay.
And it's dangerous. You have a neutral voice. They may think that OEDG, NDC, or he is MPP. You have a neutral voice. Look at the wisdom in allowing guarantor system. That is what you do. You don't limit the number of persons who should be kingmakers.
Okay, let Kamaldeen come in and respond to
Well,
this.
even though we're not talking Electoral Commission.
No, I just have to dovetail it.
Yeah, he's dovetailed it in. And then the idea at the tail end is like, keep or maintain the guarantor system. We're not speaking to that matter, but we all know the challenges that also comes with it, where we have complained about minors, we have complained about people who are not even citizens of this country and all that, to the extent that we go to the Supreme Court to say that NIA card was not enough for you to register to vote, as it were, because of the importance of Article 42 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. But that's just to clear what he said anyway. But see, we are still on. And I'm saying that, yes, for the punitive measure and blockage, I am not for it. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
However, it doesn't also stop the entities from doing what is right for us. Okay? It doesn't also take away the fact that we all know the importance of registering your SIM and synchronizing SIM with your Ghana card. It doesn't mean also that we do not know the importance of this data we are trying to create, which is going to be credible going forward for Mother Ghana. That's why I said earlier on that NDC in Parliament, MPP in Parliament, and in fact other parties out there or whoever, nobody says it is not proper for us to register. We are all for it. Except to say that we depart when we think that this institution ought not to have brought about these punitive measures and rather extend it again so that we will go it or pursue it slowly until we achieve our target, as it were. But you see, NDG, when you listen to him, he's arguing in vagueness.
How so?
Vagueness because he's not actually able to tell me that, look, as we said, the over 40-something million SIMs that we have out there, those who are complaining of being blocked are, say, for example, 5 or 6 or 10 people. He's unable to tell me because he doesn't have the data available to him. I equally do not have. Are you getting me? And that is why I said earlier on that NCA and all those that matter, the ministry and whatever, we needed this information out there to be able to say if we all will be together, because objectively what you are doing is right, but somebody thinks that legally what you have done is not proper. Are you getting my point? So once we've all agreed that this is a good exercise, then let us all also try as much as possible to open up the conversation, so that we all have our contribution and get the buy-in of everybody on this matter. We'll continue speculating, we'll continue arguing in vagueness, we'll continue saying things that we think suits us. However, leaving the actual job that we ought to do as a people, putting it aside. And that is the difficulty we have. But I want to say that, look, Parliament has invited, or yet to invite, they indicate they want Parliament should invite. The authority to invite, yes, indeed, they do have it. Per our laws. When they come, they also have to explain to us. And many times, these institutions appear before Parliament. And look, trust me, the explanation they will give to Parliament at the end of the day would appear satisfactory.
You think so?
Many a times it happens that you chastise a body for doing X, Y, Z. That body comes to give an explanation. We've seen, we can cite a lot of references. Gives the explanation and you say, oh, wow. That is why I said that they needed to be proactive. They needed to have engaged the public properly, beyond even extending. How well have we engaged the people? How well have we been able to say that, look, this has been done, that has been done, region by region, we break it down. Then at the end of the day, they see the work that you have done, and people will empathize with the entities and let us move on, as it were.
But
so I think it's a good thing.
What rights has the minister when she told us that there was going to be a self-registration app? by the 2nd of August.
And
She was
herself.
not able to meet her own deadline of 2nd. In fact, the registration
has to
app
be
came
sanctioned.
out over 20 days later.
Yes.
Nobody is sanctioning her for not meeting her deadline, which is probably why some people may not be able to register on time.
Okay.
Aside the fact that the app is not available on iOS, it's only available on Google Play Store.
Sure.
So if I use an iPhone, for example,
You may
I
not.
don't, by the way, but if I do, then that means that I will not be able to download it to be able to
You must have
do
necessarily
the
have Android
self-registration.
before you get it. That's
Nobody is holding her accountable for that, but she is blocking people who are not able to meet the deadline.
That's why she
How
needs
is
to
that
come
even
off the high
possible?
horse.
That is why I'm saying that we needed to be much more proactive in dealing with this issue. The ministry
That diplomatic,
I'm just saying that
language for her
Look, I'm
incompetence.
saying
Lawyer,
that-
please
I'm
allow
saying
him.
that we needed to be much more proactive in dealing with this matter. And I think in as much as we may cite this example of she not even meeting her own deadlines and the other bottlenecks or challenges that comes with their arrangement, in as much as we may, but it doesn't still take away the importance of the exercise, like I rightly said. Of course, it is a going concern, and I
Okay.
believe that some of these discussions that come up, a lot of people are throwing in comments and suggestions and whatever. This is how we build a democracy. We'll
Okay.
fine-tune it and move on. But what is imperative and so significant to us is that let us build a credible data for ourselves, which we've all agreed.
Okay.
And then make sure that we protect that data going forward to be able to assist us to acquire the needed development that we want for our country.
This self-registration app is a new one
Yeah.
that we purchased. Do we have the procurement details for that?
I'm sure, well, I may not have the information right now because,
Okay.
of course, I don't work within that entity.
Definitely.
But I
Was it
communicate.
so?
But I'm saying, look, what I do know is that there is an institution that has carried out this.
Okay.
This is a very credible, strong media house. And, of course, you have your way of getting your sources
right
and you have your way
information.
of getting
Yeah.
in. You can easily
Okay.
access some of these information.
We will find out.
Bella,
We will
there's
find out. Final words.
there's this your ardent viewer from Adidome. He said this one I should read it. If not, I won't leave the studio. He said
Okay.
the son Stanley Eduji Mistrome turned 6 today, and today happens to be the young boy's birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Wish you could send a picture of your son and we'll
Maybe
project
next
that
time.
on the screen. But gentlemen, thank you so much
We're done?
for joining us. Yes, we're done. You didn't come early, you forgotten?
That's okay.
Yeah, he was in Anton.
So we spoke for about 30
Okay.
minutes before you walked in, so our time is up.
Because I'm in a
But thank you
smoker,
for
I was in
joining
Anton.
us. And yes, this has been the big issue on TV3Newday. I've had lawyer Eduji Tamaklo. He's a member of the NDC communications team, and Kamaldeen Abdullahi is the Deputy Director of Communications for the NPP. Let's take some messages quickly, and then we will wrap up on this segment. So first one coming in. Good morning, Bella. What about those of us who registered and were given a time to come and get our cards? When I arrived, I was told there were no cards available, implying that my card had not been issued to me. How do I register? How is that my fault? And why would you punish me for something over which I have no control? When the same card I'm using was obtained with a valid ID card and you are asking me to re-register, that's Kojo Frimpong man. So very valid concern there. This government must know that they have been elected by the overwhelming masses of Ghanaians to serve in the interest of the Ghanaian citizenry and not to humiliate them. People have left their work and are queuing under the scorching sun to get their Ghana cards, all in the name of the SIM re-registration. As if that was not enough, their SIM cards are blocked for no fault of theirs. The president should instruct his minister to do the needful. Daniel Akpali-Liok from Sandema. Okay. This impunity and arrogance posturing by the NCN communications minister must stop. How do you arrogate powers for yourselves to block people's SIM cards simply because they didn't have their NIA card for registration? Are we in the jungle? I'm happy some Ghanaians have sought redress in court. An institution that has been mandated to protect the interests of citizens is protecting their own selfish interests. That's Musa Abattoir and Asawase. Do we have another one? I think that's it for this morning. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. This segment has been brought to you by Niche Chocolate and Niche Cocoa Drink. Grab some for yourself and enjoy the rest of the day. We're still on till 10 a.m. We have more conversations coming up. Myself and Helen are on TV3Newday this morning. We'll be right back.